Today's guest is a free-spirited entrepreneur who has experienced the real highs and lows of what that journey entails over the last 10 years. Working initially in mechanical engineering, he had always known that working for someone else was something that did not fully align with his true self. In 2017, following becoming vegan himself a year earlier, his first company launched, Meat-Free Meals, came into fruition and was a steadily growing entity, although not without its pressures. Following growing financial and mental stresses, near bankruptcy, 80-hour weeks, and a lot of lessons, the company was folded to ensure that he did not become lost beyond all means. As a phoenix rises again, and in tandem with a call-in for astrology, he has recently moved on to co-found a clothing company, tied into chart readings alongside additional hustles based in buying and selling, which itself has grown into distribution of high-end corner sofas. A true proponent of Magna Carta, something we are really intrigued to hear more of, Mr. Jim Haughey. Hello, sir.
Hello, mate. Hello.
You okay?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Did it feel like this is your life, that then?
Yeah, defo.
Everyone says that, to be fair. Every time we go through it, it's weird hearing someone else read through what you've been up to.
It is, man. It is.
But no, yeah, thanks for jumping on, mate. I'm excited to hear from you. I've got no doubt that this is going to be an exciting journey and lots to talk about. But as we say, it's literally a chat through you, your experiences, your life, you sharing your lessons and learnings, and then us probably just sit here open-mouthed and taking it all in, to be fair. But yeah, over to you, mate. Like, go for it. How's things? What you up to now? What's been going off?
You know what? This year has been it's been a mad one from all angles, man. It's been a mad one from all angles. My business this year actually thrived, which I'm happy about. Obviously, man. It's been a struggle for a lot of people, man. And luckily for me, I haven't really had to face any sort of like backlash just yet. I'm sure my time will come in the coming years, man. They're coming for everyone, that's for sure. But yeah, man, it's going well. The clothing company's going well. We've just launched chart readings, getting very stuck into like Magna Carta and kind of reclaiming my power back as a sovereign human being. The power is in the knowledge, as they do say, man. So
deeper level stuff, mate. By the sounds of things, which I've got no doubt will be really interesting and intriguing for a lot of listeners to hear as we're going through. So, I think probably worth us starting with where you got started, actually, mate. Because I think that's an interesting one of how you sort of found your way to where you're at now, and there's been a lot of, as you say, lessons and stuff over the last few years. So what sort of led you into, we touched on it in the intro, that sort of knowing of not being able to work, of there? How did you find going those short phases of working for others?
Yeah, man, when I was younger, I grew up, as I'm sure both of you did, on MTV Cribs. Super sweet 16, and thinking, you know what, I can't wait till I'm 16 years old and I've got my Lamborghini coming, do you know what I mean? And then life comes at you. You're 16, it's the end of school, and it's like, I didn't even get my Lamborghini. The Lamborghini didn't come. Get given millions. I didn't get the mansion. I didn't get the fridge full of incentivized items, and I was like, "Is this life? Like, what's happening?" And then my mum's like forcing me into trying different things. I tried A levels. My ADHD at school, man, it just took over. A levels wasn't for me. I ended up just messing around, just mocking teachers, really, because that was where the fun was at in school for me, and A levels and all sorts. I just couldn't concentrate, and I was just about the banter, really. So AS levels wasn't for me. Engineering. I started engineering a year later. It was like my last ditch attempt at, this is what a normal job, normal life will be.
What made you choose that, mate? What made you choose engineering?
Do you know what? I don't know. It was just kind of the best option that I could think, where I got to kind of use my brain. I've got quite an analytical attention to detail sort of mind, really. And I thought, you know what, this is probably my easiest option to be able to use that. Short-sighted, man. Didn't get to use it. I didn't realise, oh man, work. It just wasn't for me, you know. It wasn't for me. I couldn't handle being told what to do by someone that I didn't rate in life. I was always missing days because I didn't want to go. I just didn't want to go, straight up. 2 days a month I would call in sick on a Monday. And it was depressing, man. It was depressing. And then, I just knew from the beginning that I could not work for someone, because I like to have the whole project in front of me and like be involved in everything. Do you know what I mean? I don't know whether that's come out of control issues or whatever, but I have to be a part of the whole thing. And when I've just got some little like side piece job where I feel like a cog, a number, it just doesn't work for me. I've got too much of an ego for that. So yeah, man, I had a few jobs that were, you know, the progression looked good. Well, good by society standards, not by my own standards. Progression looked good. You know, could have become a qualified engineer, 50 plus K a year, company car. But I just really, it just, you know what, it was as if my soul had died. Just thought of it. And then I was in the last job that I had was, I worked for 3 engineering companies over the time that I actually had a job. And the last one that I had, I was working with some of the most, Dan, you'll know these people, man. Black country, proper black country, Tipton, like as chimp-like as it gets. I was working like the most chimp-like individuals that you could ever imagine. Like, speaking about anything theoretical, these people are as unintelligent as it gets. But if you put them in front of like mechanics or something, they turn into a genius. These types of people, like proper blue collar, rough as they get, like types. And I was like, you know what? This is not me. I was going to work every day and hearing these conversations, and I'm just like, nah, this is not me, man. It's not me. What have I done, man? What have I done? I remember one time I came back from a festival. I'd been in a dreamland at Boomtown Festival 2016. It's like, it took me into another world. It was very anti-establishment. It was very forward thinking. It was very like people power, hippie vibes. And I've got back to work on this Wednesday. I'd had the first couple of days off to ease myself into the work. I got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday left. And, you know, halfway through the day, I had to go to the toilets and cry. You know, I was crying in the toilets. I was like, no, can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it anymore, man. I was crying in the toilets, literally, like for 10 minutes. It sounds funny now, but it was depressing, man.
What was it though? Just like the environment, the people, what?
Environment, the people. I'm quite like a sensitive guy, do you know what I mean? I'm a water sign, Cancer sun out here, Cancer Mercury, very, very watery, very, very, I don't know. It's just, and I always pictured more, do you know what I mean? This was like, it was a depressing environment. It was dark. It was a warehouse sort of thing. It was like a factory looking thing, very dark, no sunlight, smells of oil, big heavy machinery around me. And that just is not me. That is not me at all. I'm more of a thinker. More of a thinker.
It was like feeling constricted, wasn't it? Like you're stuck there and you're just suffocated, and everything around you is just nowhere near where you want to be. And I think we've all probably had conversations with people where we're like, fucking hell, mate, is that all you've got to you, or is that all that's between those 2 ears or whatever? And it can be frustrating, I suppose. But if that's all the conversations you're getting every single day, then you're a bit stuck, ain't you? Every
day. And do you know what? I'd throw in a little bit of something else, and they'd look at me as if like, who is this geezer with the 9 hands? Do you know what I mean? Like, and it was just basic convo as well. But I just couldn't do it. Like, your environment is you. Do you know what I mean? You become your environment, and I didn't really want to become that.
Mate, when did you from that thought where you was in the toilet crying to then just right, this is it now, I'm done, I'm moving on to the next chapter, the big thing. When did that happen and how did that come about?
Do you know what? There was this one geezer at work, Colin. He used to rip everyone on the shop floor. Everyone got ripped. He was the big class clown, like ripping everyone. And he used to rip me every day. And this one day he was outside on the forklift, and he must have dropped an absolute bollock. He must have like dropped some massive thing on the floor because it was like doof, the floor shook, everything. I've gone outside and I'm a class clown as well. Do you know what I mean? So I've gone outside. I'm like, Colin, you are a fucking idiot, mate. What have you done? And he's got mad. He's squared up to me. He's like, if you were 20 years younger, I'd knock you clean out. I was like, whoa, calm down. He's gone to headbutt me. And I'm like, whoa, what? What are you doing? And then he's headbutted me. And I'm like, nah, it's either me and him are scrapping on the car park or I'm leaving this job right now. So I took my overalls off, drove home, turned my phone off. The boss was calling me. She was like, come in, we need to talk about it. She's thinking, there's a big claim going to get made. And I was like, look, stop calling my phone. I'm not coming back again. That's it. It's done. It's over. It's over. I left in the heat of the moment. And I was like, you know what? I can't do it. I cannot do it. I've got to, the thought of getting another job was just like, nah. I can't do that. So I thought, you know what? I've got to start a business because this is what I want to do. I want to work for myself anyway. And me getting a job is not supporting what I want to do. It's not, it's just wasting my time. Do you know what I mean? I was 21, 22, and I thought, I've got to do it now while I've got minimal responsibilities. At the time I was living with my mom. So I thought, I'm just going to start a business. And then I was going through business ideas, business plans. And it just ended up being, because I wanted it to be something around what I saw purpose in or what I seeked purpose in, or, you know, and that at the time was veganism. So I'd started a vegan meal delivery service nationwide, frozen vegan meals. And yeah, that was it really. From there, from that point, I knew I was never getting a job again.
I think one of the things there that jumps out, put it in your intro there, but it wasn't the fact, like when you say I couldn't work for anyone else, I think what a lot of people get confused of with that, especially maybe younger people who maybe look at entrepreneurialism as you know, a way of not having to report into others, or it may be a bit of a lazy way of living, I suppose. I think you've gone from a job that's 40 hours a week, you're getting your pay packet coming in, and you've gone into 80 hours a week, like graft, solid working. And it wasn't because you couldn't be asked to work for someone else and you couldn't be asked to work. It was more the fact that you wanted something that you believed in, there was a purpose in, and you wanted to drive forward, having control of that project. Is that fair to say, mate?
Definitely. Defo. If you speak to any of my friends, any of them, they will all tell you that I work harder than all of them put together. It was never about not wanting to work hard. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted to work hard on something that was purposeful. Do you know what I mean? Something that served my soul rather than just serving my bank account or serving society's idea of what life should be.
Do you think it really feels like work? I don't know, mate. Does it feel like work when you're doing that to you? Because I think we talk about that a fair bit, don't we, Mark? That like you go to work, but it doesn't necessarily feel like work when you fully enjoy it, or you're getting something out of it that is, I suppose, stuff that you can't buy. Like ultimately, every single day we go out and help people, and that's our biggest thing. And it doesn't feel like work is similar for yourself, mate.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. Because it's like you're getting more of a flow state. Do you know what I mean? Because you're in control of the situation. You know what's got to get done. You've got a vision. You've got purpose, and it's just more of a flow. It flows. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like reporting to someone, what have I got to do? What have I got to do? Oh, how long have I got to do that? Now you've got your day managed by yourself, so you can flow with it, and it never feels like work. Never.
Yeah, because I suppose you've not got like those time constraints then of, right, I've got to get this done by X amount of time, or like deadlines, I suppose, from like a business business point of view, if you've got to deliver one of your items as an example, there's a deadline or an expectation on that, right? But
yeah,
that, I suppose the way you manage up to that point is completely down to you then.
Yeah, definitely.
Wicked. Okay, mate. So yeah, talk us through that then. Meat-free meals, how that came about, how that went, what you learned, what came off the back of that, mate. And you can go deep, mate. I know you're umming and ahhing about going deep, but you can go as deep as you want, mate.
That's what we want. Yeah, we want to hear this stuff, mate.
Yeah, it was, you know what, it taught me so many lessons from the get-go. What was it? Yeah, it was like, I knew from the beginning that I didn't want it to be, I don't want it to look like a side hustle kind of, this is what I do on the side. I wanted it to look like a nationwide brand. Do you know what I mean? So I got a proper graphic designer involved to make the logos and all the branding. I got a website made for me by the same guy, and it just looked sick, you know. I was like, wow, this looks like a global company. So from the website and the graphic designing, then I started entering into actual problems, which was like, first of all, it wasn't frozen. So first of all, I was cooking like 40 meals, hoping they'd sell. And then when they didn't sell, it would be wasted. And then I had to like kind of think on my feet with the cooking the meals. I was thinking, how can I make them last? Like, because they were like proper meals. They weren't like prep food made to order. They were like actual vegan, actual meals. You know what I mean? Like mac and cheese and curries and spaghetti bolognese and meatballs and all sorts. It was like basically like a healthy version of a microwave meal, to be honest. So then I started freezing them, and let me just get my train of thought. It's a long time ago, you know. It took me to some mad places. Started freezing them. I took on a kitchen in Wolverhampton, like a professional kitchen. Most of my customers, though, were outside of Wolves because they came to me organically through Instagram. I never paid for marketing. They came to me from places like Brighton, London. I had a couple from Northern Ireland. They just seemed to be from more like forward-thinking places. You know what I mean? Like places that were more open to veganism. Because at the time, veganism wasn't really what it is now.
Yes, it's a lot more prevalent now, right? Like, and I think me just thinking back now, because I remember when you came into the club that I was working at, I think it was very much the case of it wasn't as widely, maybe accepted isn't the right word, but it wasn't as widely seen, or it wasn't as prevalent everywhere. Like there weren't as many people talking about it. It didn't seem like, to me anyway. And it seems like that's rocketed now. And I suppose part of that was that initial, I suppose, issues of you starting that business then was maybe because it wasn't as prevalent.
Defo.
How did you find that, mate?
Yeah, you know what? It was difficult. I was just like, you know, when you're just in it. When I was just in it, and like, it was like my whole life. Like I was weeks. I wasn't really seeing friends. I'd just gone through a sticky breakup as well. So it was just like everything was on this business. This has got to work. Otherwise, who am I? Do you know what I mean? It became my whole identity. And you know what? It was going good. I'd be turning over a nice amount for about 18 months or so. And then, the sales took a dip one summer. And to be honest, I'm glad they did, because I'd been through like a suicidal episode because of it. Because I was like not paying bills. Bills were a thing of the past. I was just about able to make my rent payment, just about. Every single month, I was feeding myself through customers coming through my website, because I'd be making batches of food. So if they bought food, that means I've got food now, because the profit margin, so I can eat a little bit. Oh, it was mad. There was no heating at one point, no electrics in my house. Honestly, I was living like a crackhead. You know? It was mad. But you know what? it taught me a lot about how far I can go as a person, what I can withstand. It taught me a lot about resilience and like future vision and how much I can endure. Do you know what I mean? Not that I would like to ever endure it again. I hope I don't, but it taught me a lot about endurance, and it taught me a lot about mental strength.
Did you ever thought about like going back into that world of working for somebody again, or did that not even cross your mind?
Every day there's always like, fuck, this is going to end soon. I'm going to have to go and get a job that I don't want. I still have it now. It's always in the back of your head, and it's kind of like running away from a burning fire, isn't it? It's like the job and that life is like the burning fire that you're running away from. So it kind of needs to be there as a motivator. Do you know what I mean? It needs to be there to be like, it can't go to that. I've got to trust in my abilities to solve problems and come up with new ideas and innovate and stuff, to the point where I can't go back into a job like that. and to be honest, I think I never would have to go into a job like that, because realistically, if I went into a job now, it wouldn't be at the level that I was in a job at before, because of my abilities of solving problems and running a business and all sorts. But yeah, it's always in the back of your head. It can't get to the job. It can't get to that. It just can't. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good to know, and I suppose interesting to have had yourself taken to that point where you're like, wow, this is my breaking point. I'm at this place now. I've got two ways to go. I can either bounce back and go again, or I can, and you mentioned it in the email you pinged over, mate, but you could go a completely other route and no one see you again. Do you know what I mean? So that's quite I suppose an enlightening experience, because you're like, this is where I'm at. This is the position I've got to, and you've seen yourself bounce back from that now. Yeah. How did that spring back come about? What made you think, no, I'm going to go again? Or was there anything in particular that sparked that? Or
because the sales took a dip, it was looking like the business was going to need big investment at this point. Or I was going to have to sort my own financial situation out. So I went onto YouTube and I found this guy, and I typed into YouTube how to get from broke to financially stable. And it's this guy. I've got to recommend the video to everyone, because it's a sick, very rational, logical way to sort it out. And his name is Project Life Mastery. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he's got a 45-minute video, and he said this one line, and he said, what did he say? He said, you've got to get a vehicle to make money. But he meant like you've got to have a method of making money. But I thought, you know what? I've got to get a vehicle. I'm going to get a van. So I thought, you know what? I bought a clapped out old van. And I thought, I'm just going to pick 3 things up on Facebook. I'm going to pick things up for free that people want to get rid of: fridges, freezers, microwaves, anything they want gone. Pick it up, sell it straight on. And I also started dog walking at that time as well, because I knew that I didn't want a job. So I knew that it had to be me that was paying me. And the van, that wasn't like a business where I need cash flow and I need projections and I need all sorts. It's just cash for my time, bit of fuel, insurance. You know, I've got a car anyway, got rid of the car, got a van. Now I see a car as, for me, pointless. I don't have children. I don't have anything that I need a car for. So I just have a van now, because it's like, it's a tool. Do you know what I mean? It's a tool to do something with for me. I just use it as a car. But yeah, I started dog walking and I started the van stuff. And I thought, I'm going to build up the cash. I'm going to inject it back into meat-free meals, and I'm going to get it started again. But the van thing and the dog walking thing just took off straight away. The van more so than the dog walking. And it just got to the point where I thought, you know what, this is a nice life for me. It's like, it's paying me a wage, a good wage straight away. It's paying all my bills. This is something I haven't had for 3 years at this point. I haven't had a stable income for 3 years. Sold all my possessions, my car, everything. I've nearly gone bankrupt. And this like £600 to £800 a week straight away in cash was just what I needed. And I thought that whole business episode was traumatic. Like, it took me to a traumatizing place. I need time to think, grow, heal, whatever that's brought up for me. And I just need time to do me, basically. And it's an easy business model. Pick things up on Facebook Marketplace, sell them on Facebook Marketplace. Most of the time using the people's pictures who've given them away for free. It was simple stuff. I didn't need to make a website. I didn't need to do anything really. The dog walking thing, I just made a few free graphics on Canva. And that one was also a nice bit of cash. But where am I? Yeah, man, I thought, you know what, I'm going to regroup. I'm going to take in what I've learned, which was a lot of things that I learned from Meat Free Meals. I learned about the importance of branding, professional image. I learned the importance of having things that look a certain way and coming across a certain way. It's got to look professional to gain the trust of people. You've got to also be putting a lot of effort into customers, which I still do now. I still think of my customer now, first and foremost. I don't think of the profit. I think about, am I going to be happy? First of all, would I be happy paying what I'm charging for this right now? And are they getting more than what I'm offering in terms of value? You
know what, mate? I buzz off that because it brings me to a conversation that I was having it was an argument, to be fair, that I was having not too long ago, that genuinely I believe that if you want to go out there and make money, it's there to be made. Like literally what you just said there. If you're willing to go and pick something up for free, give it a bit of TLC and sell it on, like there's money there to be made. And I think that victim mentality sometimes that sets in with people, or, you know, blame the system or blame X or blame Y or blame Z, like that's ultimately limiting beliefs from them, isn't it? Because it's there, out there. There's enough of it out there for everyone to have. It's just a case of finding your way of getting hold of it, I suppose. And that, like, stuff like that buzzes me because it reinforces or confirms my biases, to be fair, mate. But other than that, I genuinely do believe that it's there to be done. And I think if you are of the mindset of willing to put the graft in, then you can go and be successful doing something that gives you the freedom to do what it is that you enjoy.
Mate, I think the people that you was talking about there, I think it stems back to some of what you said, Jimmy. Like you've got to have a driver that makes you want to keep succeeding in what you do, or you've got to have the fear of something failing, or you've got to have something that you're passionate about, or that you give a crap about. And most of these people, the monkeys like you talked about before, or the chimps, you said, didn't you? Sorry. Most of the chimps they don't have that because they're not problem solvers like we are. And that's what I think that's the massive difference. I mean, me and Dan have talked about this loads, is that you have problem solvers and you just have cogs. And that's, these people that complain will always be cogs because they don't look at the bigger picture.
Definitely.
What do you think on that, mate? So like these guys that, because like my opinion on it is if ultimately they're happy and they're able to identify what happy is to them, and that gives them what it is that they want to have out of that, then more power to them. But like, what's your thoughts on that? Because I know you're quite heavy into, you know, programming and the government having their agendas and that sort of thing. What's your thoughts?
Me personally, I think every soul has a mission. Do you know what I mean? Every soul has a journey and every soul has a capacity. And to me, when I look at these people that are the cogs, I feel like they've hit a capacity inside themselves that they can't step outside of, or they think they can't step outside of because of whatever self-limiting beliefs. But they're like that drilled into, like, this is what we do. This is just how it's always been done. You just got to get on with it. Classic one in Wolverhampton. You got to do it, you got to be you got to just carry on. And it's just like, nah, you haven't, man. You haven't got to do that. But I do think they've hit their capacity, and I do think that they have just got to carry on, because stepping outside of that for them is like a total upheaval of everything that they stand on in life. And I think certain people are built better for it. Do you know what I mean? Certain people are more tailored to looking outside the box, or have needed to look outside the box because that's what they've had to do from childhood. I really think that childhood builds us as individuals, and builds our mindset, and builds our view on what life is, and builds our view on what we've got to do to get our needs met. And if we're more willing to look outside the box that we've been programmed into, more often than not, we've had to do that from childhood. We've had to get our needs met elsewhere, or we've had to think for ourselves more, or be more independent because maybe we couldn't rely on certain caregivers as much. I think there's always an answer, and I do think that everyone has their own mission in this lifetime. Maybe these people that are cogs, their mission is to raise the person that raises the person that changes the world. Who knows? That their mission was never to look outside the box or whatever. Their journey was just to do what they got to do to raise this person, to raise that person who will look outside the box and break the cycle.
Yeah, mate, that's a great way of looking at it, that, to be fair, because everybody plays a part. It's true, mate. Like, I'll always revert that to teams and football, because I've played football all my life. And you might not be the best player on the team, the best player in the world. You might even be the worst player in the squad, but you play a significant part, and that might be being the best friend of the best player on the team, which motivates mentally. Do you know what I mean? Which then physically will get your team the result. And that's probably one of the biggest takeaways from this chat at the moment that you've put in there. That because we're saying the chimps and the cogs doesn't mean that's a bad thing at all. Do you know what I mean? That's their mission, that's their path, and everybody has something else, but it all helps with the bigger picture, if that makes any sense.
You got to be good at you were classic carrying water though, mate. I can't fault you for that.
Me?
I'm only joking. Yeah, I'm joking, mate. I know you got a sweet. I know you got sweet top bins, really, mate. I know.
Right, the water boy. Yeah, that. I'm decent, me, but
you know.
But it's not about.
He's good, mate. Fuck you, know, bad. No, yeah, I think that's quite a good way of looking at it, actually, and it's not something I'd ever thought of, that they raise the person who raises the person. You get what I mean? Like, I quite like that. That's a good one. Cool. So yeah, like we've been through a bit of your journey there. Touched on where you're at now slightly, but yeah, if you want to delve into that, mate, what's taking you along now, apart from driving your van around? What's lit the fires?
Right now, the dog's climbing on the table, man. Listen, they just go back. That time, move yourself. So right now, it's been a year for me of trying to seek freedom and adventure in a pandemic. I follow numerology. Numbers are the beginning of the universe, that's a fact. But numerology it kind of gives me a sort of blueprint for what this year is going to hold for me. So for me, this year was a 5-year, and the 5 is about change and freedom, and it doesn't become like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's just like, that's what life is going to take me on this year. And this year has been a year of 5, which is changes, adventure, freedom, and going through a 5-year in a global pandemic, scamdemic, has been, it's been mad. I've just been going on a lot of nature walks. I bought a motorhome that I now live in. Just been doing anything that I can to free myself of Babylon, the system. Do you know what I mean? Because they're coming for everyone right now. I've kind of found a little bit of purpose in bringing light to the actual truths, the actual facts, the actual statistics about what's happening right now. you know me, Dan. You follow me on Instagram, man. I'm very outspoken. I stand in what I believe. I'm happy to have my mind changed, but all I can do at the moment is share my truth. And my truth right now is Magna Carta, astrology, numerology, and kind of just witnessing the finesse that Babylon have got on our entire lives, man. They've finessed every single detail of our life, every single detail. And we've got a lot of people that haven't even had step one of the awakening yet, to realize that we have been finessed. When you dig into the Magna Carta stuff and you realize that fraud has been committed on us since the day we were born through the birth certificate, where they create a separate legal identity of you, which is a corporation that's traded on the world stock market. We're millionaires, man. We're actually millionaires. The country, the UK, whatever country you live in, wherever you're registered, we are millionaires. They have made millions and millions and millions of pounds. If you're 30 years old, for example, they would have made about £100 million off your legal fiction, your legal identity, which is your birth certificate, because it's traded on the stock market. And this is just another way that they get us, man. They get us in making us think that we've got to work hard for whatever. And I think that we do have to work hard, but that's more so for purpose and mental health. But we're already, like, we're the only species on this planet where we have to work and pay for water, for sewage, for food. It's mad. Like, the earth provides it for free. For electricity, it's mad. It's mad. In the 1800s, Nikola Tesla, man, he refounded free 0-point electricity for the whole world. The whole world could have had free electricity because he found out about energy lines. If you don't know about Nikola Tesla, I'm sure you probably do, but if you don't, go and Google his inventions, his creations. We could have had free electricity for the whole world. But then Thomas Edison came in
with his light bulb.
Found out a way to monetize it. Found out a way to charge people for it and make it into a business.
What do you think? Because I think that's what a lot of businesses do, right? Like, they find a way to monetize a certain commodity or something that goes out there. And obviously the majority of our podcasts are business based. So I think there's a sort of fence there to sit on in terms of, like, ethically, is this right? Or am I finding a way of self-serving, I suppose? What do you think, mate?
I think we've all been thrown into the ocean from birth, and however we choose to get our money is our armbands and our floats. You know what I mean? Because that's just what we've got to do to get by in this society that we've been programmed into. We didn't have a part in creating it. They've created a system that serves them. The trillionaires, the banking families of the world, they've created this whole system that serves only them, and we've just got to do what we've got to do to get by. Do you know what I mean? and that's just where we're at.
Because I think just where my head's going with that there, obviously off the back of the Tesla Edison conversation, you've got things like the Venus Project. I don't know if you've seen that. Jacques Fresco, as a guy, if you've not looked at him, mate, he's well worth looking at. But his Venus Project, although most people will sit there and read it and think of it as like an Eden or an impossibility or a completely transformed society, his whole base for that was that actually we don't need to for this sort of stuff. We're technologically advanced. We're smart enough, if we raise people in the right sort of way to have different ideals and different views on the world, that we can have a society that that means no one lacks or anything across the entire world, and we protect ourselves against all of these things that are coming in the future, asteroids, etc., that we know are on the way, because it's only a matter of time, and there've been X amount of them that have happened in the past. So I suppose it lends towards that, depending on which side it is. I don't know if have you ever seen much of him or heard of much of him. He's someone who fascinates me, to be fair.
I haven't heard much of him, but I do know that the elites at the moment, as part of Agenda 2030, are pushing for a technologically controlled technocracy, where they want to push us into smart cities, and they're going to dress it as something along those lines.
Okay, that's interesting.
But they don't want us to own anything. They don't want us to own properties, cars. I don't know how they're going to pull that off in the next 10 years, but big things are coming, man. And the way I see it is, someone's got to own it. Someone has got to own what we're renting from someone else. I'm just talking about the Great Reset, which is what this is, what I'm talking about. They want us to not own anything. They want technology to run things for us, apparently. But I think it also is a bit dangerous to give that sort of power over the world to anyone, really. I mean, I'm very much of the opinion that we all collectively need to own our sovereignty and our ability to make our own decisions, and our own trust in ourselves of what's right and what's wrong. We're just in a bit of a pickle, I think. I think there needs to be a worldwide revolution of power structures and how we look at people in power, because we're living through a very treasonous time. The government of the United Kingdom, and I'm sure a lot of other governments around the world, but I'm strictly speaking about our government, they're actually there treasonously. This is where Magna Carta comes in. They're there treasonously, and they have been since the 1700s, but we just don't know it because we just came into this, and this is just what we do, and all sorts. But the government should never be over the people. The government should never be over the people. The head of state, i.e. Boris Johnson, is as high as it gets, but even Boris Johnson is below us because he's still a servant of us. All acts, statutes and legislation are illegal and unlawful. And if we look at Article 61 of the Magna Carta, it was created by the people, for the people. And the article there is the one that they've strictly tried to abolish from anyone's minds. Literally 1216. So the Magna Carta was written in, I'm going on a tangent here, but the Magna Carta was written in 1215 by the people. It's the British Constitution, and that is the highest constitution in the United Kingdom. And in 1216, they tried to alter it. Parliament tried to alter it. But what we need to realise is it was made by the people, and Parliament can never alter it. So the 1215 Magna Carta still stands to this day. And that is how we take our power back, because Article 61 of the Magna Carta is lawful dissent. So that is when we know of treason being committed, which is what's happening right now. We're living through treasonous times. We've got a criminal government that are bombing people all around the world and doing all sorts of mad shit. We've got a treasonous government that we need to overthrow them, because they're acting above us. The people created government. The people created Parliament. So the people's creation can never be above the people. The people have the true power in this country still to this day through common law, Magna Carta, Article 61. In 2001, a group of barons invoked Article 61 because they had got light of the treason that was happening. They invoked Article 61, and since then we've been ruled by Article 61 of the Magna Carta. We just don't know it. There's a lot of criminals in places that they shouldn't be right now. And I think step one to getting out of whatever mess that we're in is through Article 61 of the Magna Carta. The common goal of Article 61 of the Magna Carta is to put these criminals behind their own bars, to take back our court buildings, to take back our palaces, to seize back our assets, because these are our assets. They're not the Queen's. They're ours. That we own all of these buildings, the people. We own the roads. We own the power supply. We own the water supply. But we're told by Severn Trent and Southern Water and EDF that we've got to pay them for the power that we already own. We already own all of this. This is ours. This is what taking back the power means. We reclaim what is already ours. Yeah, I went off on a bit of a mad tangent there.
No, because I think that ties into what my next question was really, mate. In terms of Magna Carta, you've touched on what it is and how that works there. What does that mean for small businesses? Because I think anyone can drop an Instagram at the moment and you'll see examples of people trying to invoke that to the level that they understand it. But what does that mean for people that are running their own businesses, for people that are trying to make money via their own means and be those, I suppose, business owners?
Yeah, so for small businesses, especially businesses that operate from a premises, this shit is gold. This shit is your ticket out of this. It is your ticket out of this fucking bullshit. Sorry to swear. I'm sorry, but it's just
passion.
They've got us locked up in our own yards to protect the elderly members of society that they're killing in care homes right now across the country. None of it makes sense. We know it's all bullshit. And also, we are trusting the government that I've just told you are here treasonously. All of these acts, statutes and legislation are not law. They are guidelines, legislation and acts of parliament. And this has no basis in law. But their whole system is based around illegalities. The court system is illegal. The whole thing is illegal. Everything is illegal. They're there illegally. And when we go to their courts, we're battling it out in their domain. This is how they get us, because they get small businesses. So there's a process that you have to go through to kind of declare your lawful standing under Article 61 of the Magna Carta. And there's a lot of videos going around on the internet right now that of businesses that are trying to stand under the Magna Carta but doing it in the wrong way. And I think they're doing it because someone's told them this is what you do. And the power really is in learning it yourself and getting it in there yourself. We've got to all stop this sheep mentality, and we've got to get it in there ourselves. Our actual mind has to process it for it to become our own realization and our own truth. Now, the process that you go through to stand under the Magna Carta is, number one, you take an oath. I've got my oath right here. I'll read it out. So, and you send it to a baron. It's called an oath of allegiance. And you send it to one of the lords, from the House of Lords, a baron, someone high up, basically. You can also just take this oath to yourself and have 3 witnesses. So, oath of allegiance, and you send it by recorded post. Yeah, you keep a copy for yourself and you send it by recorded post. So, dear Lord Craigmile, I, James Haughey, in full knowledge of treason being committed by Parliament, by delivering the sovereign peoples of this common law land into the hands of foreign powers, in understanding some of the wrongs done by the present holder of the office of sovereign, from whom I now transfer my allegiance, do so willingly and wholeheartedly, enter into lawful dissent, as the law demands by royal command, and I solemnly swear upon my oath to obey the direction of the Lords of the Barons Committee, whom invoked Article 61 of the 1215 Magna Carta on the 23rd of March 2001. In accordance with the royal command to do so, as long as said barons act strictly according to constitutional law at all times without deviation, and until such times as redress of these present wrongs has been achieved. Sworn and subscribed on the 11th of November 2020. So that's part one, the oath. You take an oath to stand under the Magna Carta. So you now have your own legal standing under Article 61 of the Magna Carta, right? And then you go through something which is called the 5 notices. The 5 notices process, yeah? And it's thick, it's thick. You put the courts, the police, the head of the NHS, any top level, like any chief inspector, any head constable, any police force, you send them a notice and you put them on notice. So you're telling them that you've got a legal objection and a declaration of standing in your own sovereignty. And you basically, you're reporting the treason to them, and you're letting them know that they are aiding and abetting treason, because that's what we're all doing. And by paying tax and council tax and and your TV license and all sorts, you're aiding and abetting treason by paying that tax, because you know that treason's being committed and you're paying tax to these people that are committing treason. So now I've told you to that you're aiding and abetting treason, you're committing a crime. You know, that's a separate thing. So
once that's been done,
yeah,
what happens from your part then? So what are you free to do or not to do, if that makes sense?
That makes sense, man. So under common law, this is where we need to get to. Under common law, it's common sense laws, right? Don't steal, don't hurt, don't kill, don't commit fraud, and don't breach the peace. These are the only laws in the whole of the land. And it goes back to the birth certificate thing. They, through mass deception and mass coercion, get us to represent our legal fiction, which is created at the time of the birth certificate. So when our parents registered us unknowingly, because they don't know as well, we don't know, we were never there, I wasn't present, I didn't give my permission for that. But when you register something, you're giving over ownership of whatever you're registering. You register your car with the DVLA, you're handing over ownership to the DVLA of your car. When our parents sign away our ownership to the government with our birth certificate, they're handing over ownership. And this whole legal system that they've got set up right now is so complex and so deceitful and coercive that we find it just an absolute mindfuck to even get into. Like, we're just like, no, it's too much. Like, I'm just going to give the £35 for this parking ticket, or I'm just going to pay my council tax. Can't be bothered with, because it's run by fear. The only laws in this whole country, this whole land, the whole world, the only laws that are there are common sense laws. This whole legal system is based around coercion and deceit, and it needs you to represent your legal fiction, which is your name in block capitals. So when courts or the police write to you and they put your name in block capitals with a title, Mr. Daniel Burge, in block capitals, for example, that's not your name. That's not you. They're addressing your legal fiction, the birth certificate. They're trying to get you to represent that, and they use a language called legalese, Japanese, Chinese legalese, right? And this is just another level of the deceit. So they have our language in these letters, like a court summons letter, and it's written in legalese, and it's there to coerce you into representing your legal fiction, basically. So when you're under the Magna Carta, you don't go to the court hearings. You write them a letter back, and you, for example, you give them a letter of conditional acceptance. So you're like, I will accept your fine of £2,500 for not paying my council tax if you can do the following for me. 1, prove that Article 61 is not in effect. 2, prove that you have the authority to do this to me. 3, prove that this legal fiction is my human being, flesh and blood self, and not a legal entity of itself. And obviously they're not going to be able to do this. And you say, basically, you've got 7 days to reply. If you don't reply, I'll take that as you can't do it, and the case is settled. And you can also throw in a bit of banter, like this legal fiction that you're trying to address to me right now is a dead entity, and it's been dead from the beginning because it's a birth certificate. It's a legal fiction. It's a straw man. And for any time that you use this legal fiction, it's a £200,000 fine to yourselves. And then you put them on notice. But this all has to get realised for ourselves. Like the power isn't in me telling it. But for small businesses, once you realise that all of these acts, legislation and statutes are illegal, and they have no basis in law. They never do, they never have, they never will. They have no basis in law, because for it to be a crime, there needs to be a victim. And if there's no victim, for example, you open your business and it's against an act, which is the Coronavirus Act 2020, which has no basis in law whatsoever. If you open your business, there is no victim. There is no victim. So there is no crime, but that doesn't mean the police aren't going to try and fuck you over. They're still gonna try and arrest you. They're still gonna try and, because police officers are given such a slim letterbox, like parcel view of what the law is, and their whole training in itself is part of the system. The system's very, very corrupt to the core. It's like a rotten apple. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole system is corrupt. Their training is part of the corruption, and they don't even know. Even though they swore an oath when they took up their position, they swore an oath to the crown, they swore an oath under common law to take up their position. They won't even take common law seriously on that day. But this is why the knowledge needs to go in, and we need to learn it, because when they start speaking their police officer language to us and saying, you know, this doesn't, I've seen this not work, or the Magna Carta doesn't exist anymore because they've been told by their higher ups that it doesn't exist. We need to know that it exists, because that's where the power is. Because if you don't know that it exists and you don't know the truth for yourself, you haven't realised it for yourself, the power's gone once they start talking, because we automatically have this vision of the police as they're above us, but they're actually much, much, much lower than us. Much low. It's not even close. They are way below us. They don't have an authority over us. We have authority over them because they serve us. They're public servants, and they swore an oath under common law to serve and protect us and uphold the common laws of the land, which is do not steal, hurt, harm, injure, commit fraud, or breach the peace. And if none of those crimes are being committed, they don't have any actual authority over us. So back to the small businesses. I'm going to recommend a few things to watch. So number one is, it's called Strawman: Nature of the Cage. Type it on YouTube, and that will help you understand the whole strawman theory of how we've been deceived from birth with the birth certificate, and how our legal fiction entity Strawman has been created that they use to deceive us through their legal system. That's a great one to start with. And if you follow me on Instagram, drop me a message, whatever, just drop me a message on Instagram. I'll send you all of the videos, and I'll send you all of the PDFs that you need to understand what I'm talking about. And in these PDFs and in these files, there's pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of evidence of what I'm saying. There's pages of it. And that's how we'll start to get the knowledge in there for ourselves.
And then once I've done, so say once we've done that for our business,
yeah,
and then that £2,000 fine comes in, I send them the letter.
Yeah.
After 7 days, they won't press me for nothing at all.
No, well, I don't know. They might try, because they are very corrupt. But what you need to realise is what we also say in the lawful dissent community is, don't make your life harder than it already is. So we're not trying to like make our lives incredibly hard. For me personally, I don't have any ties to the system. I don't have rent to pay. I don't have anything that I need to do for the system. So it's not going to make my life harder. I've already got the CCJs from the bank, from the council tax and whatnot. There's nothing they can do to me to make my life more difficult. But when it comes to opening your business, you've got to remember that they can't force the money out of your bank account. So they can't come to your house with bailiffs. First of all, bailiffs do not have any authority over you. You don't have to open the door. And even if it was signed by a high court judge that they can come into your property, which it will never get to that stage, because it needs to be signed by a high court judge to come into your property to seize assets and whatever. Even if they've got that little signature, you can then put a notice of rebuttal or something like you can end their rights of their perceived rights of access to your property. There's so many different things that you can put on your window, your shop front, whatever, to counteract whatever they're trying to do to coerce you. And you need to remember as well that you opening your business to put food in your mouth and feed your family is not a crime. It's a crime. It's an actual crime what they're doing to us right now. It's a crime under common law, because they're causing harm, loss, injury, breaching the peace. They're literally committing every single crime that you can commit under common law. They're doing that to every single man, woman and child right now. They are trying to take our livelihoods away from us. They're trying to get us into poverty, crash the economy, and make us dependent on the state. And if that isn't causing harm, loss and injury to a man, woman and child, I don't know what is. So they're actually the criminals in this situation, and you opening your business to put food on your plate is not a crime. It just goes against their guidelines, which don't have any standing in law.
And for you, mate, what do you think they're trying to get out of all of this? What's the big picture for them?
So I'm going to tell you to look into Agenda 2030 and what their vision of the future is. Their vision of the future is to get us into smart cities like London. And remember, everything that says smart, it means tracked, right? So smart TV, it can track what you're watching. Some of them even have cameras, microphones. And as much as we like to say, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong, or they don't want to hear my conversations, the fact of the matter is they've got cloud storage of 1 billion trillion terabytes that probably has every single conversation you've ever had stored on it. And they want us in these smart cities that are, and they've told us this in black and white as well. It's not a secret. It's not a theory. It's facts in black and white on the internet. You can go and look it up on the World Economic Forum. It's called the Great Reset. And Agenda 2030. They want us in smart cities, which are controlled by AI. Minimal crime happens in these cities because people are scared to commit crime because everything's tracked anyway. You've only got to look at China to see how technology is going to affect everyone in the world, because in China they've got cameras, those like ball cameras on traffic lights, and they've got facial recognition, and they can see about 400 people in the road just crossing the road because it's that accurate. And on their faces, there's little squares on the facial recognition. They've got their social identity number, and from that social identity number you get given a social status score. And if you've got a low social status score, they will stop your benefits. They will stop you using public transport. They'll basically fuck up your whole life if you've got a low social status score. And you get a low social status score by not being vaccinated, by not paying taxes, by not having a job. And you've just got to look at China now to see what they want from us, because there's a lot of influences from the Chinese Communist Party in British and US and world politics in general right now. They're pushing us into communism, and they want us dependent on the state, basically, is what they want. They've crashed the economy. They've literally just ruined people's lives to push us into these smart cities which are tracked, traced, under the guise of being good for the planet, which we're putting the trust of saving the planet into the same people who ruined it, which is just psychopathic in itself. But yeah, the Great Reset, Agenda 2030, those two things on their own will show you what their plan is for the future, and it's on their websites. It's there for you to see. Yeah, they want us tracked, traced, communist, dependent on the state, vaccinated every single year. I really do think it's because human consciousness has evolved to some level this year. There's been some sort of awakening in a lot of people, and they don't want conscious, free thinking, critical thinking human beings. They want people that are subservient. They want people that are just happy to go along with the flow. Do you know what I mean? Like people that challenge the agenda and challenge the plan, and they don't want that. And yeah, they're doing a lot to suppress the truth, and they're being very, very bait. They're being so bait right now. They're literally just showing their true colours, man. They're suppressing science. They're suppressing doctors. They're suppressing the truth. Yeah, they want cashless societies, so we can't not pay tax. They can track everything you're spending, where you're spending it, where you're going. And as much as, you know, what have I got to hide, that mentality, like, oh, if you're not doing anything wrong, like, you shouldn't worry about it. But I don't want people knowing what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got my own sovereignty. I've got my own moral code. I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do. Yeah, man. They just want to track and trace and all sorts.
Mad. I think that's just got off on like that's just gone mad. That, so there's loads to probably digest there, even for myself as you're talking there. I'm just sitting there ticking away. So for listeners and for those tuning in, no doubt there'll be a lot for you to take away and to digest and delve into, and whatever else it is for yourselves, especially those with small businesses and those that are looking at whatever info is out there at the moment and questioning what's going on in the world. So appreciate you jumping on, mate. No, go on.
So if you're interested in how to use common law and Magna Carta and Article 61 for your business, I suggest joining the group on Facebook, Practical Lawful Dissent, UK Commonwealth countries, UK, Canada and the Commonwealth countries. You'll find it. Just type in Practical Lawful Dissent UK and you'll find the Facebook group, and you can type in any question you've got and it will be more than helpful. They're really, really, really helpful. They'll talk you through it, send you videos, send you proof, all sorts. Or drop me a message on Instagram, whatever, and I'll point you in the right direction, man. Because this is what we need to do. This is how we claim back our power. It's not by following the rules.
Wicked. No, appreciate that, mate. It's been great to have you on. We do wrap up the episodes, just conscious of time, with a couple of more fun-based questions. So we'll jump over to Mr. Love with the first one, mate.
This is not going to be. It's not. I don't think this is going to be an easy one for you. It might be, actually. So you're hosting a dinner party, wherever you want. You don't have to. You don't have to be able to cook the food. But seeing as you've got your own business, I'm guessing you will do. 3 guests you can take. Who are they? And they can be living, alive, or deceased. Which 3 are you bringing and why?
Me first.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I'm taking Wim Hof. Wim Hof.
He'll be sound outside, to be fair, mate. He'll be well away.
Wim Hof, hero, absolute hero. Who else? Dr. Gabor Mate. Anyone that doesn't know about him, top psychologist, therapist, all sorts. Very, very, very intriguing guy. Dr. Gabor Mate. Who else? There's just so many. Candace Owens.
She's class. Big into her, mate, at the minute.
Big G, man, big G.
So you've got your guests. You've got to feed them. What you're serving. So starters, mains, desserts, what you're going for, and why those choices.
Well, it's going to be a vegan menu, obviously. We're going to have cauliflower wings to start.
I didn't know cauliflowers had wings.
They have, man. They have. They've mutated. GMO. They've GMO'd the cauliflowers these days. Cauliflower wings. Then a pad thai. I quite like a pad thai, you know, tofu pad thai. Very spicy. Very spicy. And what else? It's tough, you know, it's tough. Probably some fruit, you know, probably some exotic fruit.
You'll have to name some, mate, because
apple, dragon fruits.
Dragon fruit's decent.
Mangosteen. Mangosteen is absolutely fire for anyone that's not tried it. And custard apple.
Never had that.
So fire. So fire.
Last one now. We've got last question. So you're stranded on a desert island. You can only take one musical album with you. Who's the artist? What's the album? Everyone, this kills everybody. Few people have got it nailed straight away, but this mostly kills people.
It is only difficult. One. You know what? Maverick Sabre. What's the album called now? Lonely of the Brave, Deluxe Edition.
Yeah, that's a good album.
Deluxe Edition. Mate, I was expecting some reggae from you there, I'm not going to lie.
I know, man, I know. But you know what? Maverick Sabre, it's just heartfelt, pure emotion, man.
Yeah.
I hear you.
And you need that on a desert island.
Oh, wicked. No, appreciate you jumping on, mate. It's been great to have you. Lots and lots to take in. It's probably the quietest I've ever been on an episode, to be fair, mate, because there's that much to delve into. But massively appreciate you jumping on. As ever, thanks for tuning in and for listening, guys. If you click on the subscribe button, you'll get a notification each time we have an episode come out. That's from me, Dan Burge, and Mr. Martin Love in the top left corner. Thanks again, Jim, for joining us. We'll catch you all soon.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too, mate. See you later.